FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
How far then do you think in this country people are consumed either consciously or unconsciously with what we call now Islamophobia or Islamic fascism? The fear that, it's just so crazy, the lack of trust of a whole tradition.
Well, I think it's a serious problem. Because in a conflict, especially when one is being misled, by one's leaders, I think that there is a tendency to adopt what I'm not trying to be to call names here, but to adopt what is essentially a paranoid stance towards the world, which sees all of one's enemies as being part of a gigantic conspiracy, and all the enemies become one enemy, and behind the enemy is the enemy is not really at a certain point not historical; it's satanic. I mean, I went right after 9/11, too close actually. After 9/11, I went on television, and they asked me, well, what's this all about? And how could these terrible people do this? And I said, yes, they are terrible people. Yes, there is no excuse for what they did. But we really have to see what they did in some sort of historical context and ask ourselves, how are our activities in the world part of the system which is generating this kind of horror? And everybody just went nuts. I mean, the phone.
So you're blaming America.
The phone went off the hook, and the president of my university called me and said, "I just want you to know I've decided not to fire you." Everybody's asking me to. A good guy, by the way. So this idea that all the enemies are one, I think people in a way misunderstand even Bush. When they say that the idea that Al-Qaeda was linked with Saddam Hussein is simply a lie, or that they are weapons of mass destruction, and that was simply a lie. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think it was a deliberate, let's figure out how to get into war and let's just lie to the American people. I think it was a paranoid reality to them.
They really believed it.
I think they really believed that all the enemies are really ultimately one enemy. And if the motives for that enemy's activities are not historical, then they are super-historical. They're emanating from evil itself. I mean, the devil's activities are uncaused.
Right.
And that's really trouble, because we're living in a history and trying to deal with this in a historical context. And if we're dealing with Satan, then there's no way we can do it other than to destroy everybody we identify as satanic.